Good morning. Well, I'm in my garage today because I've decided I'm going to be replacing one of the chicken coops at work. Now, I'll go into more details as to why I'm replacing the chicken coop later in the video. But for now, I've got this 4-foot cube chicken coop which is gone completely rotten and needs to be replaced. So, not only am I going to replace it, I'm going to also upgrade it because I'm going to add some extra storage to it. Now, because I can't actually buy what I want, I've decided I'm going to make the entire thing from scratch. So I've been out, I've brought a load of timber. I don't know if that's going to be enough to finish the project, but it's certainly enough to get me going. But yeah, like I say, I'm going to make it from scratch. I've got an idea in my head. I have scribbled a few notes down onto a piece of paper here. Now, I've already changed some of the dimensions because I got them wrong. So it's a make it up as you go along job. So this is certainly going to change by the time I'm at the end of the video. So I will try and explain what I'm doing as I go. But yeah, for now, let's make a start. I'm going to start with the left-hand wall because that is one that is the easiest because it hasn't got any openings in it. And it's also the one that's going to give me the rest of the dimensions to work from. So yeah, let's set you up. I'll lay a few pieces out and get going with the frame. Okay, well that's the framework come together quite quickly. So you might be looking at this thinking it looks incredibly flimsy. Well, it is at the moment. This is a traditional cheap shed design, so the strength of it is not just from the framework, it's from the boards that you nail on as well. The two of them work together to create the strength. So at the moment I've got to work out what I'm doing at the top there because that is supposed to be the slope of the roof. So it's 180 centimetres on this side and 165 centimetres on this side. So that should give a nice slope. Problem is everything's all a bit twisty and a bit moving, so I need to get some rigidity to this. So I need to next nail on some of these boards. So as you can see, I need to make sure that this is perfectly straight because at the moment that has flex to it. So once I've nailed some boards on, that will be square. I can then also make sure that these are all going upright and they're all nice and straight as well. So that is my next plan, is to start nailing these on. So these are what are known as feather edge boards. So as you can see, they're just an angled board. Now, I don't know if it matters or not, but you've got a 90-degree angle on one side and a slightly shallower angle on the other side. Now, I'm going to make sure that the 90-degree goes to the inside. I don't think that necessarily matters, but I want to try and make sure that they're all the same because it should make it look a little better. But literally, you nail the first one on, you then take the second board, you overlap it like that, and nail through the top one into the bottom one. And that means each board has 2 nails in it, so it should all be nice and solid by the time I'm finished. Right, because I'm going to be nailing it by hand, I am going to be pre-drilling it. If you're using a nail gun, I don't think you'd necessarily have to, but I'm using these type of nails. So these are ring shank nails, so they've got ridges all the way up, so they go in nice and smooth, but they just don't pull out. So the drill bit's a lot smaller than that. It's literally to prevent the wood from splitting. The other thing I'm doing is because you've got to overlap them, so these boards are about 12 centimetres wide. You want to overlap them by about 2 centimetres. I've just made that jig up there so you can sit that into the board and the next one pushes up against there and then you get an even spacing all the way up. You see how that works as I go. But yeah, I'll probably do about 3, possibly 4 rows, getting the 2 end ones in place, and then I'll come back and nail the ones in the middle. So yeah, let's get on. Okay, so this is going well, so that's all nice and square. It's feeling a lot more sturdy now, so I can measure up on either side to the correct height. I can use a straight edge to draw across, so I know where to cut all the battens so they're all at the correct length now. So that's the next step, and then I can carry on with the siding. Okay, so that's one panel down. That's looking good. So, to be honest, if I was to order a shed, this is exactly what I'd expect them to send out to me as a flat pack kit. So I'm happy with that. Now you might have noticed when I cut this top piece here, I cut a triangle off of here, flipped it round and put it up here. Technically I shouldn't have done that because these boards are tapered. So this edge is thicker than that edge. So that's a thin piece that I've put on there. But to be honest, for where it is, I'm not too worried. It seems silly to waste an entire board just for that small triangle. So it's at the very top. If it is a problem, I can always get to it and take it off and change it at a later date. But for now, I'm happy with that. So next step is to build the mirror image for the other side of the shed. It's going to have one slight difference because that's going to actually have a door in it. So yeah. Okay, well that's the two walls built now. So because I built one on top of the other, if there is any inaccuracies, if they aren't quite square or something like that, they will at least be the same, so it shouldn't notice quite so much and shouldn't cause problems in the future. So this is a new wall. You might be thinking to yourself, didn't you say you were going to put a door in that? Well, yes, I did. So the door is going to go in this area here, so you may have noticed I didn't actually nail that one as I built it. So my idea is I'm now going to cut a frame into there and nail the frame into place. I can then cut those planks out. The door will then continue on the siding if I keep the panels in the same order. So it's a little thing, but it should make it look a little nicer. So yeah, that's what I'm on to now. Okay, well it wasn't easy, but I've managed to get the door installed. Now unfortunately I have lost some footage, so I'll go through what I've done in a second. But yeah, it's looking good. You can see what I said about the grain pattern and how it just continues across because I've used the same boards in the same order. So if it wasn't for the whacking great big hinges, you wouldn't actually realise there's a door there at all. So that is looking really good. So the hinges, they are a little bit overkill, I know, but they're on the shelf, so I thought I'll use those. Seems silly to buy out new hinges when I've got some that already work. Now, I missed out a little bit of footage from cutting this section out. Obviously, I'd cut down either side and taken all the planks out. There's still this section here. Now, to cut that out, I literally just went along with a saw, same as I did with the sides. I just carefully worked in. This is quite a new saw, so the very tip of that is still sharp. And I just worked my way along the edge like that. Eventually, I managed to get a little bit of hole and I could get in at that angle, and it went a lot smoother once I could do that. And that just cut that piece out, and that gives it a nice edge. So behind here there's a thin strip of wood, so that means that's nice and solid, and it also gives a nice top to the door. Now the door itself I have cut down. It's about 0.5 centimetre smaller than the gap, because that makes it nice and easy to fit. There is a little bit of a gap there where you'd get a draft, but it's for chickens. They don't complain about drafts as long as you can't get predators in there and they're nice and safe. That's the important thing. So yeah, getting the hinges on here, that was a little bit of fun as well, because obviously these are all sloped now. So that piece there spanned from that to that, so that's nice and flat. But obviously I had to pack it out with a little bit there just to bring that hinge back level so the door actually operates. It's nice and smooth now. And if I just lean that like that, on the inside here, there's a couple of strips of wood at the top and bottom there. That's just for the screws for the hinges to go into. There's one big screw that goes into the frame here. That's, to be honest, what really holds it. That's just a little extra. And I also put a diagonal in. Although I think the double nails would hold the door square, that's just a little extra insurance. So that is this side now done. So I've got the back, the front, the roof and the floor to do. So I don't think I brought enough timber. So I'm going to stop now because it's getting a little late for me today. Tomorrow I'm going to try and build the back wall, and then I'm going to have to go and buy some more timber before I can carry on with this. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, well it's the next day, so I'm going to get this back wall built. As you can see, I've spent some time this morning. I've cut everything to size. Now this back wall, it gets a little bit weird because it's going to be a strange shape, because obviously custom shed, I can do what I want with it. There's a couple of things I've had to think about, which I'm going to go through with you. Some of it will only make sense once I've actually built it, but I'll try my best. So this is the edge of the wall, and if I build another wall, I'm going to build the same framework and just screw it to the side there. Now, what they tend to do is they'll put the cladding on, so you've got two effectively identical walls like that, and then they'll put a big piece of wood in here. Now, I've got this size timber, so if I did that, I'll either have it like that and you see the ends of the boards here, or I'd have it like that and you've got a gap there. So my plan is to overhang the boards slightly like that, and then we end up with a nice transition in the corner here. So that's one of the things I've had to think about. The other thing I've been thinking about is that I need to put a door in here for the chickens. So at the moment I'm going to leave a hole and I'll sort the door out once I've got the wall built. So yeah, let's get this wall built. Okay, well that's what you get when you're not concentrating. So yeah, I was making sure that edge there was all nice and square. I wasn't concentrating, and this one here in the middle there is completely wonky, so that's no good. So I've got to straighten that up. Now, I want to remove the nails to straighten it up. I can't remove the nails. I've tried pulling these out before. You damage the wood before you actually get nails out. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to try and push a hacksaw blade in underneath there to cut the nail heads off, and then hopefully I can just put another nail in next to it. So yeah, it's good that nails don't come out, but it can be a problem when you make mistakes like this. Right, well I managed to get it done. That wasn't easy, but this was the tool I was using, which is basically a hacksaw blade in a handle. Now this would have been brilliant if I was using the hacksaw blades I had from 20 years ago that were nice and solid. Unfortunately this is a modern hacksaw blade and they've made them more flexible, because apparently that means they're less likely to break. Now the problem is, as you can see, that's all wavy now, because every time I got any sort of restriction on it, it just bent like that. And although you can straighten them back out, yeah, it doesn't snap. Problem is, that's now bendy, so it's just going to bend again. And that's what was happening. Every time it was just bent, and yeah, really slowing me down. So if you know anywhere that does decent, solid hacksaw blades, do let me know, because I could do with a set of those rather than these modern, flimsy things. Right, let's carry on. Right, so that's the back wall built. I've got a nice access hole there for the chickens to go in and out, so that now needs a door. So there we go, that's a simple door. All I've done was on the other side here, I put a batten of wood down either side there to create a run, and it's a piece of plywood to go in. I've left a screw there, so the idea is we can tie a piece of string to that, and then we can hook that open. We can even put that through a pulley so you can open it from the outside. So yeah, that's good. So next thing is I need some wood, because that's all I've got left and I can't build a lot out of that. So I'm going to go and get some wood, and I'll pick this up once I've got something. So because it's Sunday, the wholesalers that I use to buy the timber from is closed. But I remembered that at work I had some of these handrails. So this is from a bridge I recently took down. And last time I took the handrails from the bridge and I turned them into a little playhouse. And that's been doing quite well. So I've done the same with these. I've brought some of them home and I've spent all afternoon taking them apart, cleaning them up and turning them into this pile. Now obviously they have algae on them, so they are still dark and green. But there's no rot on them. I've checked all of them, they're all absolutely fine. So that should make a perfect floor, nice thick boards, and it seems silly to buy new material when I can reuse that. So yeah, like I say, cut everything to size already. I'm going to be doing it in 2 sections because that stuff is incredibly heavy. So the idea is I'm going to do 2 sections separate, and then when I take it to work I can screw the 2 pieces together, put a couple of extra battens so it all acts as one floor, and that should be good. So yeah, I've got just enough time left for today to turn that into a floor. So right, let's get on. Okay, so that's the floor done. Well, almost done. I've got 2 battens, one from front and back to cut, and that will tie the 2 pieces together. Obviously I can't install those until I've got this to work. And I've got 2 planks at the back there. Obviously I need to cut that down because it's a thinner strip. It's getting a little late in the day to be doing that right now, so I'll leave that till tomorrow. But yeah, we've pretty much got a floor and 3 walls, so we are getting somewhere. So tomorrow I'll pop out, I'll go and get the wood, and we can hopefully get this finished so it's already in kit form to be assembled. So right, I'll see you in the morning. Okay, well it's the next day. It's a bit of a chilly start today, but I've managed to get the floor finished. I've gone and picked up some more handrails, so I've got the wood from that to use. I've also gone and picked up a little bit of new timber, so I've already cut that to size, ready for the next wall. I've already cut it wrong as well, so I'm hoping that's not going to cause me a problem. But I'm going to get that wall built, we'll see how that looks, and then I'm actually going to put it all together with what I've got so far, just to see what the next bits are. So yeah, right, let's get that wall built. Right, well that's the shed temporarily set up, so there's only 4 screws holding that together, because obviously I'm going to take it down and move it, so I don't want to put too many in, but that is doing well. And I've also got plenty of space down here to carry on working, so I can leave that up while I build sections for it, so that's great, so I don't have to dismantle it to carry on. But now it's up, you can actually see a little bit more of what I've got planned with it. Obviously a little dark in here because there's no light at this end, but there's effectively 3 different sections to this. So this section down here is going to be the original 4-foot square chicken coop, so pretty much the same as it was. So that's why you've got the small door on that side and the door for the chickens on that side. My plan is to then put a floor in about this level, and then I have storage above, so I'm going to use that like a hay loft. So The chickens have straw bedding, so that's what's going to go up there. So I'm going to need a couple of doors on that just to keep the birds and stuff out. And you've then got this section here, which is just a little lean-to, effectively. So we've got 2 bins that we put the grain in for the chickens. So rather than them sitting on the mud out in all weathers, they'll be sat on the wooden floor here, and they'll just be sheltered a little bit from above. So that should be a bit nicer for it. So yeah, it's looking good. So the next section I need to do is that floor in there. Now I'm building that again out of the old fence there, so it's going to take me ages to take that all apart, clean it up, measure it all. So I'll get back to you once I've sorted all that out. So that's probably going to be this evening. So yeah, see you in a bit. Well, it's not quite dark yet, but I've managed to get enough material sorted for the floor. So this should be a nice simple square, so hopefully that'll go nice and quick. Right. Okay, well that's the floor built and in. It was a bit of a challenge getting in there because it was quite tight, but I managed to do it. It was a little off-putting when you lean against the wall and it suddenly shifts, because obviously it's only got the odd screw holding it. So this will be better once it's all secure, but that is it temporary in place. Now when I come to put it in real life, I'm going to screw through in every single beam there, so that should be nice and secure. It's only going to take the weight of the straw, which shouldn't be that heavy, so with those fixings it should be ample. Now I have got gaps down around the edge here, so I don't know if that's going to be helpful or not. It might be good from the point of view you get airflow, it might be bad from the point of view you get airflow, so I'm going to leave it like that. We'll see how it goes. If it's a problem, I'll just nail some planks over the top of that hole, that will cover them up nicely. So I've got 2 more things to do. One is the roof, one is the doors. Now I'm thinking I'll do the roof next, because I can get this in and built without the doors, but I can't get it in and built without the roof. So roof is the next thing, which again I'm thinking of using the old fencing for. So I'm going to spend some more time taking fencing apart and I'll see you when I've got a pile of materials again. I managed to get those remaining fence panels dismantled. I've been through, I've cleaned everything up, I've checked it all out, cut it all to size, so I'm ready to do the roof. So I've got the frame laid out here. The idea is I'm going to do this the same as the floor, so I'm going to do 2 separate panels which I can then reattach. I'm going to leave these beams loose at either end. I can attach those together once it's at work and I'm ready to install it. Until that point I can have it as 2 separate pieces, and that makes it a lot easier to handle and move. So the idea is I've measured it so it's a little bigger than the frame, so it's going to sit on the frame like that, and we're going to have that bit of overhang there. So that means that once I put the waterproof covering on, it should hang down there and should hopefully drip over the edge without sending this rotten. So yeah, I'm going to set you up at the end there. We'll get this nailed down, and then hopefully it'll only be the doors left to do. So right. Right, well that's the roof built and it's all nice and solid. Now I'm not going to lift that into place just yet for 2 reasons. One, I've put the shed too far into the corner and there's not actually enough space in here. But the other reason is because I'm at the stage I want to dismantle this. So the only thing I've got left to build for that is the 2 little doors for the end. Now I've got the materials ready to go there. I haven't cut them to size yet because, to be honest, I haven't quite got my head around how they're going to go in there. But I've got the dimensions of the hole written down, so I can do that without having the shed here. So I'm now going to dismantle the shed. I'm going to start taking it to work, and I'm going to start building it at work. Now obviously I know how long this video's got, so I'm going to end this video here, and I'm going to do that in the next video. So I hope you're subscribed so you don't miss out, and I shall see you later.